Welcome back to Coloring Through the Bible. My name is Keegan Harkins, and this is actually take 2 because I just recorded an entire video and realized that I had not hit the record button. So let's try this again, and maybe we'll actually be recording this time. We're going to be talking about comfort zones. I was thinking about God calling people out of our comfort zones so that we can make the biggest impact on the world. And I was thinking about people in Scripture and realized that the people who made the biggest impact, the people that we're still talking about thousands of years later, God called them out of their comfort zones. It'd be nice to just stay where we don't have any danger, where we don't have any struggles, we don't have any strife. We just get to stay in our own nice little safe bubble. But when we do that, our reach, our usefulness is really super limited. And God doesn't want us to just stay, grow stagnant, just kind of exist. He wants us to change the world. He wants us to reach the world. He wants us to make a difference for His name's sake. He wants us to be that light on a hill. He wants us to go, to seek, to find. So we have to get out of our comfort zones. And we think about people in Scripture, we see that that's exactly what God told them to do. Thinking about Moses, that's the first name that popped into my head, because when God said, "Hey Moses, I got something for you to do," he balked right away. He's like, "Oh, I stutter. Oh, they're not going to listen to me. Pick somebody else." And so he's the first one that I thought of, but God didn't let him stay in his comfort zone. He pulled him out. And the Bible tells us that he got married, he had children, and he was tending the sheep of his father-in-law when God called out to him from a burning bush. And he had spent 40 years in the peace and the quiet of tending sheep, where the only responsibility he had was being a husband, being a father, being a son, and watching over dumb sheep. It was his comfort zone. And so when God said, "Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the last 40 years, but now I'm going to send you back into that hornet's nest called Egypt, and you're going to be a thorn in the side of Pharaoh. So now it's going to be uncomfortable." Moses' first reaction is, "Oh, come on, seriously? Think about it. He's 80 years old. He wants to retire in his comfort zone." But God said, "No, I have something planned for you. You're not done until I tell you that you're done. And I've got something big planned for you. So you got to get out of your comfort zone, walk by faith." And look at what Moses did. He had been trained, even though he didn't maybe realize God had been training him his whole life. He had been trained his whole life for this moment. And he almost missed it because hanging out with the sheep was comfortable, was safe. Think of the story of Ruth. Ruth is famous because she followed her mother-in-law. She did what her mother-in-law said. She provided for her. She, was married and her husband died. She was from a different country. She was not an Israelite. She was from Moab. So she had different customs and rules. So here she finds herself in Israel with her mother-in-law of her husband, who's the mother of her husband who's passed away. And she's, they're living like beggars. She's picking up wheat that the harvesters have left behind. They are living very, very meager lives, but they're doing it. And then her mother-in-law says, "Hey, I want you to go do something. And it's really weird, but I want you to do it." When Boaz, the guy who owns this field, when he goes to sleep, I want you to uncover his feet and lay there at the foot of his feet. That sounds ridiculous. To us, that sounds ridiculous. Can you imagine if some lady tells you, "Hey, go in there, that guy's sleeping, uncover his feet, and then just lay yourself at his feet and wait until he wakes up"? That's bonkers. And she had to have been thinking this is bonkers because she wasn't an Israelite. She had no idea about this custom. It was an Israelite custom that symbolized her asking Boaz to marry her, to be her kinsman redeemer, to, pay off her debt and take care of her. But to somebody from Moab, that was a bonkers request. Way out of her comfort zone. It'd be way out of my comfort zone if my mother-in-law asked me to do that. I'd be like, "Ooh, sweetie, you have flown way over the cuckoo's nest. That is weird." But she did it. She stepped out of her comfort zone and did what she felt was foolish to be obedient and go forward a few thousand years. Mary has an angel come to her, and that angel tells her, hey, you're going to have a baby, and it's going to be the Son of God. And she's this 15-year-old girl, not married. And that talks about her character a lot, because that's blowing up her comfort zone. This was more than just calling her out of her comfort zone. This was calling her out of her comfort zone and into a situation where legally and by all rights, the people around her could stone her to death. God calls us out of our comfort zone so that we can make a difference in the world. So what's God calling you to do? What is he calling you to do that you're feeling like that is just out of my comfort zone? Because chances are, if God's calling you to do something that's out of your comfort zone, it's because you're about to do something pretty amazing. And maybe you're not going to go down in history as far as, like Moses and Mary and Ruth, but you're going to change your part of the world. Because when God calls us out of our comfort zone, it's not just to see how we like being uncomfortable. It's because he's got something big planned. And we can't change the world as long as we stay in our little bubble of security. So I want to encourage you guys, don't be afraid. If God's calling you out of where you are into something new, trust him. Walk with confidence, because if God's calling you to do it, he's going to provide for you to do it. And I know it's scary, and I know that it makes you second guess and doubt yourself. I get that. But if God is leading you someplace, then he's got a reason for it. And it's going to be amazing, because he never leads us someplace just for the heck of it. There is always something amazing waiting at the other end of that journey. So it's okay to get a little uncomfortable sometimes, as long as it's uncomfortable for the Lord. Thanks for spending some time with me. I hope you guys have been inspired. Until I see you again, have a truly blessed day.